So in 2024, I read a total of 78 books. These are my 5-star reads of 2024. Hi, and welcome back to my channel. This is Florence, and I'm a Black woman living in Germany who loves reading books. I have tried my best to gather all my 5-star reads, which were many. I think that 2024 was a really good reading year for me. It's the year that I really immersed myself into reading. I rediscovered reading late last year, but then 2024, I really went into it. I think because of my podcast and just the book community, of course, here and on social media, that really helps. So I've also realized that I'm very lenient with my 5 stars, but it's because those are the books that I personally loved reading and which I personally resonated with. So let's just start. They're in no particular order. The first one is Efuru by Flora Nwapa, who was a Nigerian author, one of the first female Nigerian authors. And the story follows Efuru, who is a woman who goes against patriarchy, fights really hard against patriarchy to start a business to help her community and to defy patriarchy's rules of viewing women as only important because they can get married and have children. I really loved it. Very empowering book, a very empowering book that is over 50 years old, but still very touching. The next book is by Alice Walker, The Third Life of Grange Copeland. And this book was recommended by Angela, who owns Share Alpha Books in Dakar, Senegal. And I asked her which book she would recommend to anyone. And she said this is the book she would recommend that every woman reads, especially before going into a permanent relationship, like a long-term relationship. And it's the story of 3 generations of Grange Copeland. And it's set back when there was still it's slavery, and it follows the life of a man who is feeling really oppressed racially. Of course, he's living in under slavery, and all the pressure, all the oppression that he feels that is placed on him because he's a black person, a black man, he brings it further onto the weakest people in his community, and that is women, his wife and his children. And it was really heartbreaking, but also eye-opening because it goes deep into relationship between men and women, and seeing men who are, I would say both people, but I would say mostly men who are unhealed, who've gone through trauma, and then they just transfer this trauma to the next generation. It's a very eye-opening book that I really loved. The next book is a collection of poems, one of my favorite. It's called Black Girl Call Home by Jasmine Mans. My friend Lily introduced me to this book and to her, and it is, in my words, I would explain it to be a Bible for every black girl. Speaks about loving our bodies, our relationship with our mothers, our relationship with our daughters, relationships with men, racism, just a lot that is put on black women. I absolutely loved reading it, and I think I will reread it again before the year ends. The next book is Educated by Tara Westover. This is a memoir. This is, one of the non-fiction books that I read in November. Absolutely loved it. Tara Westover was born to a very strict sect of the Mormon religion, Mormon sect, and in rural Idaho. And we just see her defying odds and wanting to discover what else is out there. apart from the life that she's born in. And we see education being one of the ways that she's able to break out of this prison that she finds herself in. I really, really loved it. Highly, highly recommend it. The next book I loved and I will always love is So Long a Letter by Mariam Abba. I read this while in Senegal. I traveled to Senegal for my birthday, and she's a Senegalese author, so it meant so much to me. And it's a small book, but really, really powerful because it's a series of letters between two friends. And one friend, they've known each other for years, but they were both married. But because of things that happened in the marriages, one left her marriage and the other one stayed. So the other one who stayed is writing to her friend and telling her just how life is and the struggles that she's going through. And it's just an ode to friendship and to love. Really, really loved it. Another book that I read, I think in January or February, is Ghana Must Go by Taye Selassie. I still remember this book. It's a story about a doctor, a Nigerian doctor who is having a heart attack, and his life is flashing through his eyes, the last bits. Well, his whole life is splashing through his eyes, flashing through his eyes at the end of his life. And we see his life from when he moved, when he was a young boy growing up in Nigeria, how he moved to the UK, how he met his wife, their children, and living in Nigeria. And then it follows his children's lives. So well written. I enjoyed this book. And it has the theme of twins, which I find fascinating, and really, really loved it. Next is a book by a Palestinian author, A Woman Is No Man by Etta Froom. I love this book. So heartbreaking. Follows the story of Isra, who is moving from Palestine to the US, to New York, because she's gotten married, and she thinks that she's escaping the confines of her family and thinking that her life is going to be different when she's in the US, but it turns out to be even worse. And then we follow her daughter too. And also there's a bit of POV from her mother-in-law. It's amazing, so well written, and very female empowering, very. And of course, is there a better time to read Palestinian authors than now? Highly recommend this. Another book that I absolutely love, and I'm so happy that I read it this year, is The Color Purple by Alice Walker. I don't think this book needs introduction. It's amazing. I read it because I wanted to go watch the musical, and I loved it. Alice Walker is an amazing author. The Color Purple, the story about two sisters, the story about love and connection and having faith and resilience, and there's heartbreak, but there's strength in love. Absolutely love The Color Purple. The next book that I read and loved was The Nightingale by Christine Hanna. This is a Riz Book Club pick. This was a buddy read that I couldn't stop reading. I cried while reading this book. I cried, but I couldn't stop reading it. Follows the story of two sisters, Isabel and Vianne, set in, I believe, in the 1940s, just before the war broke out between when Germany invaded France. And we see these sisters fighting in their own ways. They find their strength within their own personality. One does it with so much power, and one does it in silence. Absolutely loved it. Christine Hanna is an amazing author. The next book that I read and loved is Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Oh, this makes me smile when I just think about it. It follows the story of Okonkwo, who was the greatest warrior alive in the village Umofia, in his village in Nigeria. And we just follow the traditions, the culture, the richness of the Igbo culture before the white men came, and the effects, everything that happened when the colonialists arrived, pretending to be missionaries, and Okonkwo and his family and his community. Oh, Chinua Achebe is amazing writer and an amazing writer. And of course, Things Fall Apart could not miss this list. The next book that I read is The First Woman that I read and loved, is The First Woman by Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi. I believe in the US it's called A Woman is a Body of Water. I don't understand why, but it follows the story. It's a coming of age story of Chirabo, a strong young girl who grows up to be a strong woman, who shows us what feminist it is without even using the word, without even before the white people came and described feminism. Love this book. The next book that I loved is like one of the last books that I've read this year is James by Percival Everett. Oh, this is the retelling of the adventures of Huckleberry Finn. And James is from the point of view of James, who is the enslaved black man. And it is so amazing. It's just, there's adventure, but there's sense, there's sadness, there's joy. You walk with James through his adventures, and he just keeps on surprising. And my heart was beating all throughout reading the whole book. Love James. I'm so grateful that Percival Everett saw fit to not rewrite, but be inspired by Huckleberry Finn. And I'm currently listening to The Adventures of Huck, and I miss James in it. I really miss the point of view of James in it. The next book that I love is Mr. Loverman by Bernardine Evaristo. Oh, and this is a series that I'm currently watching at the moment. Absolutely love this book. We follow the story of Barrington Jedediah Walker, a man from Antigua who is now living in the UK with his family, his wife, and 2 kids, and also his lover, who has been his lover since they were teenagers. They're now 70. He's now over 70 years, and they've been having an affair, and nobody knew. Absolutely loved it. Barry is a character that I will never ever forget. Another book that I love is The Island of Missing Trees by Elif Shafak. I don't know, if Elif Shafak sells me her shopping list, I will buy it. If she sells, I don't care. I will buy everything that she writes. And this story told from the point of view of a fig tree that is transferred from Greek, a town which was situated between Greek and Turkey, and it was uprooted and moved to the UK, and with the owner, and it just follows the story of everything that happened before and after its uprooting. It's how do you think about writing migration through the eyes of a tree? Absolutely loved this book. I loved it. The next one that I also loved is Sister Outsider. I think every woman should read this book by Audre Lorde. Audre Lorde had a way with words. She spoke so much sense. She was a visionary. She was an activist. She was a mother. She was a lesbian. She was a teacher. So much lessons are in this book. It's a collection of essays. So needed, always needed. Just like it was needed back then, still needed right now. She talks to us. She talks to us as women. She talks to us as society. She talks to us as Black women. The words of Audre Lorde should live on forever and ever. The next book that I also loved is Issa by Miriam Eman. This is a coming of age, more, I wouldn't say a really coming of age, but I think a coming of age story of Issa, who finds herself pregnant. She's of Cameroonian descent, but she lives in Germany. And then her mother tells her to go back to Cameroon to have some rituals done so that they could save the life of her unborn child, because her mother dreamt about it. So she's gone back to Cameroon, and she's following, as she's getting these rituals performed, or she's performing these rituals, she gets to find out about her maternal ancestors, her mother's life, her grandmother, her great-grandmother, back and back. And of course, we learn about the Germany's colonial history in Cameroon, and everything that happened, the strength of women, the strength of community, love, and just not giving up, and resilience and forgiveness. I absolutely loved it. And we even interviewed the author, who is amazing. She's amazing. So you can listen to the podcast episode that we did with the author. Then the next book that I absolutely loved is The Birth of a Dream Weaver, A Writer's Awakening by Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Oh, this is a memoir. It's a very short memoir of like Ngugi wa Thiong'o's life. He's one of the biggest African authors. He's Kenyan. So this memoir follows his life mostly when he was at Makerere University, when he was doing his undergraduate studies. But so much happened during that time, because it was just shortly before most African countries, especially Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, gained their independence. And he just talks about the influence, the effects of colonialism, and education and life as a student at Makerere University, talking about people he studied with, like big names, politicians and visionaries, and people who made a big difference in the history of Africa. I absolutely loved reading this. It's just a short, like I think 6 years, but so much happened. And how we got, let me not spoil so much, but it's an amazing read. And then last but not least, a book that I don't have, that my friend Lily borrowed, is The Joys of Motherhood by Buchi Emecheta. I love Buchi. I love Buchi's writing. She talks about a woman, Nko Ego, who I believe is an Igbo woman, who finds herself, she's lost that thing that she thought would give her joy. And we follow her just trying to find herself again, and find herself while also trying to prove to society her worth in the eyes of patriarchy, that she can get married and have kids, but just trying to find this joy, the joy that society says will come with motherhood. She cannot seem to find it. And it's an heartbreaking story, but a very eye-opening story for, I believe, for any woman, for society at large. Just not to have put this pressure on women in the search for a non-existent joy. The joy is in us. It is in us, and we are worthy of joy no matter what we give, what we are able to give. So those are the books that I read and loved in 2024. Please share with me the books that you read. Did you read any of them? If you did, please share, or just share with me the books that you read and that you loved. And just makes me smile when I talk about these books, because I kind of relive the joy all over again. And I'm rambling. And I believe this will be my final video of 2024. On that note, thank you so much for subscribing, for liking, for comment. Everyone who has interacted with me here or on my social media, thank you so much, and hope to see you again in the new year, and with more videos. Let's discover more books. Let's read diversely. Let's support small bookstores. Let's support independent authors. Let's just read, because reading is fun. So thank you so much for watching, and see you in 2025. Bye.